Right side. Yes, perfect. Yeah. One more left. Yes, please, please. Okay, one more. Okay, guys, one. Over your left shoulder, please. Over your left shoulder, please. Yeah, please. Sir, this way. Sir, to your right. Sir, madam. And over your left, please. Over to the left, more left. Please. Yes, please.
About here? Yeah.
And over here, please. More left, yes, perfect. One more, please. One more. Single, please. Single shot. Single shot. Please.
Sang-soo has long become a classic of South Korean cinema. With his new work, the Novelist's film, he returns to the Berlinale competition where, in 2020, he received a Silver Bear for The Woman Who Ran. This is his 27th film, and he remains true to his themes. It is always about questioning oneself, about the futility of existence. We have an aging actress who wants to revive old contacts and accidentally meets a young, aspiring actress played by Korean star Kim Min-ye. There is something fateful about this chance meeting of the two women as it changes both of their lives. Another very sensitive and tender film from Korea.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the press screening, to the press conference for the Novelist film, Sang-soo's 27th feature, which screens in the competition of the 72nd Berlinale. I'm very pleased to be joined by the film's delegation of two, starting with the other side of the table with the actress and production manager, Kim In-hee. Please welcome her. And the director of the film, which also has a certain amount of other credits, Sang-soo. So the Berlinale is very pleased to welcome Sang-soo and Kim In-hee again for the third year in a row. This is your 27th feature, and yet it feels very special, personal, and intimate. You always say that you start with a very few pages of script at first. And I was wondering for this one, if it started with the beginning of the film, or rather than with the film within the film that we eventually see.
I first decided that I will work with Kim Min-hee as a main role. Then I decided to work with Lee Hae-young, who worked with me in the previous film. So I had these two people, and then first days of preparation, this idea of the idea of a novelist making her own film. And then right after that, I thought about what kind of film I can use if I put the short film she's supposed to make. And then right then I had this memory of this short piece I made a long time ago. Not long time, maybe, I don't know, 1 or 2 years ago. I sometimes bring my small camera to place I go and I shoot something and then I edit in the nighttime with music. So I have some pieces like that. And I thought that that piece was shot in, how can I say, maybe the most natural setting. There was no script. There was no idea to express anything like that. It was so I thought maybe comparing with this kind of footage with people acting based on the script I give, even though they try and I try get them to act as naturally as possible. I had a curiosity. There might be some kind of difference between the piece I made in the previous days and the film I'm going to shoot with based on the script. So that difference, I didn't know whether there is actually difference that we can perceive. But that's the one thing, one of the few things I had in the first phase of the preparation. And there are a few other things, maybe. I'm talking maybe too much, maybe.
No, go ahead.
I guess I would rather stop here and wait for the next question.
Maybe we'll take a question from over there.
Good morning. My name is Mahari Sigit, African Refugee News. Thank you for this masterpiece of camera work and the dialogues, because we could read it in English, but you could see how the people connecting. When you said there was no plot on it, you could feel it, that this was something natural. People meeting, and sometimes they were also a bit hesitating to what do I have to say, you know. So this was not something they read and then they came to. This is really good. But my question is, how did you do it to change from black and white, and then you go to color, but it's not the normal color that you see Technicolor. There is something very light, and then you see the strong face of the actress with her flowers and singing the song. Can you tell us how you managed to do this? Because you cheated us, because at the end, everybody was expecting the film was over, but then she comes out and it was dark. There was nothing, not even goodbye. So can you tell us about this?
I don't know I got your question right, but anyway, another thing I came up in the preparation in terms of ideas was I wanted to go through this phase. Maybe first phase is about hearing, and the second one is looking, and third one is smelling, and fourth is eating, and then drinking, and falling asleep, and watching the virtual reality, and the color. That's the progression I came up with. And the color I made with my laptop computer. It's just a conversion from all the black and white was shot in color, and then I converted into black and white. And I shot it intentionally with very low quality. What is it? The pixel? I don't know the technical name for it. And then I play with it a little bit to have the color I wanted. So that's how I made the color. I don't know. This is the answer for your question. Anyway.
Perhaps a question for Kim Min-hee. I think this is the first time that you. This is the first time that you act with Lee Hye-young, and which is in one of your films for the second time. She was there in front of your face. Could you talk a little bit about your relation, your work relation within the film, with your acting partner?
저는 그 이혜영 배우님하고 처음 작업했고요. 이번에 그 전에 제가 이제 프로덕션 매니저로 그 당신 얼굴 앞에라는 작품을 같이 했었고 배우로 호흡을 맞췄던 건 처음이었고.
It is the first time that I have been working with Lee Hye-young, but I've worked with her before as a production manager.
당신 얼굴 앞에서부터 이렇게 작업을 하셨는데.
And I was in the project before your face.
감독님 작품에 나오는 배우들이 많진 않지만 늘 매번
the actors that work with Sang-soo,
기대가 되고 그리고 저희 크루가
well, I always have high expectations regarding what kind of people they would be. We are a small crew, and that is why it is always a great pleasure for us to work together. We always have a relaxed atmosphere when we are shooting. Also, with Miss Lee Hye-young, I had a very pleasant working atmosphere. I was very grateful to her. And this film is about relationships, and I learned a lot about relationships from her.
Hello, I am Francisco. I'm here with the Department of Philosophy of University of Nova in Portugal. And Hong Sang-soo, you are such an inspiration for filmmakers all around the world. And one of your main achievements for me is precisely this natural feeling that all your movies have. I understand when you say that you try to create the most natural atmosphere, but I also know that to do it, sometimes it's hard. So I would like you to talk a little bit about the process of putting people in their own natural way. Maybe it's hard because in our world we don't have the chance to be so natural. And also, if Kim Min-hee could also speak about it, how is the process of getting into the natural style a little bit? Also, one of the doubts that I have is how many hours do you work per day? No, I mean, because in filmmaking, sometimes people work for 12 hours, 6 days a week, and I think this is also something that avoids people to be in natural feeling.
Okay. I don't think there is any absolute naturalness. Even being alone in his own room, her own room, we don't know, we can call it natural. Because we are controlled by our thoughts all the time, make you conscious of something, you bring away something from the past, try to be someone. I don't know, it's a natural. So just it's always comparatively more, natural or not. So I don't think I'm seeking to be really natural. Just happened to be that I'm a kind of director. I like to see small detail working as a significant element. So I need kind of relatively more natural acting. And as I said before, just I wanted to compare. If I shot this piece with this setting, and I'm going to shoot this film based on the script, I wanted to compare. Is there really a small difference in terms of texture that people can perceive? That's what I wanted to see. And about hours, I usually, these days, last 2 films, I start writing in the morning, 1 day before the shooting, because I have some eye problem. So I needed to lessen the stress. So I write in the morning the previous day, and then the actual shooting day, I kind of revise a little bit in the early morning. So start again 4 a.m. and then finish around 9, sometimes 10, and then start shooting 11 or 12, sometimes 9. It depends on the script writing hours. And then I tend to shoot in the daytime. I don't want to shoot a lot in the nighttime setting these days. So usually I finish up like 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, something like that. And 3 days in a week, usually. Yeah.
Over there.
Hello, here. Thank you for coming again and again to Berlin. I talked to you in an interview several years ago, and I told you that for me you were the filmmaker of uncertainty. That uncertainty was the characteristic of your films. This is a characteristic that I don't find in this film now. The only thing we're uncertain about is whether the character played by Minnie is happy or not about the film. And even about the film itself, we know a little bit about it, and we even brought the colors. We even know the colors of the leaves, these beautiful leaves and the bouquet of flower in the film. So there's very little uncertainty in this film, which irritates me because I like the uncertainty. Can you comment about why you have changed your style? Not your style of filming, but the style of the content, where you have a much more linear story and one which is not left to the imagination.
I'm not certain that my film is about uncertainty or certainty. We all know that we know very little about anything. We just wish to know more. We pretend to know more. But at the end of the day, we know almost nothing. That I know. So whatever I do, I act based on that fact of life. We come up with all kinds of theory, generalization about ourselves and life and universe and anything, but this thing is infinite, and our knowledge, our capability is so small. We make an abstraction all the time. Abstraction is good in terms of making some small technical devices and things like that, but maybe some tower. But about universe, about life, it's not that useful. So that's how I'll answer to you.
I think part of the question was for Kim Min-hee.
네, 근데 제가 한 번만 다시 질문해 주시면 감사하겠습니다.
Could you perhaps repeat the question for me again?
Yes. At the end of the film, you come out very suddenly out of the projection room, of the theater room, and we don't know whether you're happy or not about the film that you have seen in which you play. So can you comment about that, please? Because it's very interesting. You come out very suddenly. It's like, where is she? I'm all alone. And we don't know if you actually liked what was done or not.
우선 툭 튀어나오는 건 제 그냥 걸음걸이나 몸짓의 그런
Well, I think that had something to do with the fact that I usually walk very fast. That's my personal way of walking. As an actress, when I see a film and meet the audience, I'm always very nervous. And I think this is what I felt. So it's not a question, did I like the material, did I like the film? It's rather a question of how I feel, how I talk to the director, what kind of tensions and thoughts were present on my mind. And when I came out of that projection room, nobody was there. And for me, it was a relief to come out of a cinema and there was nobody there.
I have another question for the director. Can you tell us more about the characters you chose? Because there is this girl in the library. She's like the compass for everybody. So if you can tell us more about how you chose the people to work for you. Because also the dressing, like the novelist always had the gloves on, as if she didn't want to touch the other people. Then at a certain point, she relaxed and she takes it away because she knows that now she found the real people, she could talk. And so can you tell us how you did this? Thank you.
So I think I use some control and I use accident. I use both of them when I make a film. About the casting, for me, the casting is maybe the most important thing in making film. When I cast, even though she or he is the actor I worked with before, the day I meet him with the intention to work with him, I get this impression from him, and that impression triggers something inside me. And so usually the first day of that meeting with him or her, the main actor, is the day I come up with the main idea what I'm going to experiment with. As I told before about this novelist making her own film. When I saw her, I just had this idea, this novelist making her own film. And so that I cannot explain. Just so I can just say this most important thing, just meeting this person and get the impression, and then being triggered, and then we live in that imagination and idea and go through with it. That's what I do. And about what was the second question?
The globe.
A globe. Those details are. Okay, she can ask me, should I wear this globe if I feel looks okay or feel okay? And yeah, you should. Then she does with her globe all the time, and then I like it when I see doing things with the globe. Then I just let her do. But if I don't like it, maybe I can tell her, maybe you should take off your gloves. That's how I work.
Here.
Thank you. My name is Matti. I'm from Israel. I noticed that in a few, you have like corona masks. The characters have corona masks on their face, and you can see COVID signs here and there, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know Korean, but that's what the impression I got. And I wanted to ask if you feel that the corona masks and the signs are connected to the plot and themes of the film, or you just put that in as a kind of sign of the times?
It came out of necessity. People want to wear masks to protect themselves, so I cannot force them not to wear. And it just looks natural for me because we are living in that period. So not much intention, just I want them to wear sometimes this mask, sometimes maybe take off their mask. Not much intention, just if I want them to not wear the mask, then there could be strong intention about, but just there are so many small details always happening in this scene, and then I scan through it, and then it feels like okay, then I just let that thing exist in the scene. If something bothers me, then only then I go and check or remove it from the scene. So I don't build up from the scratch and one by one. So, for example, when I borrow a place, I look at the place and I like it, then I ask the owner always very strongly that never touch anything till we come. Never refurnish or clean up anything. And I go there again when I shoot, and then at that moment I decide maybe I can remove that book from there. Maybe I can change the position of a chair. But I respect that integrity which was there in the beginning. That's the reason I chose the place. So many details you can never really control. It's a luck.
Up there? Oh, behind.
Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. Anne-Christine Loranger from Séquence magazine from Montreal. There is a lovely scene in the restaurant where a little girl comes to the window and she looks inside, and one feels she's looking at the camera, wondering what's going on there. Was this improvised or was it planned? And what was the idea behind this little girl? It's a lovely scene, and I just felt like, just went outside and just it was very natural and very simple. And I was wondering if this was planned or simply improvised, because you do that sometimes. Just play with what's going on and let it happen.
That scene was not improvised. I wrote the script the day before, and then I came up with the idea that this girl looking at inside and looking at the Kim Min-hee, The similar thing actually happened in that place when I went there with Kim Min-hee. A girl was looking at her through the window. That was in my memory, and then while I was writing a script, I thought I could use that detail in the film. About intention and what I expect from audience while looking at it, I don't know. I felt like it. I liked that idea. I think some people might come up with a connection, with the girl and the situation inside, whatever. They can come up with a connection, meaningful connection. But I didn't have a fixed idea what to expect from the audience while looking at them.
There's another beautiful scene that's about sign language. I think that's the first time that you're using that language in a film. Like for me, I see that both characters are pretty unsatisfied with their work and maybe looking for new ways to say things. I wonder what interested you in that particular scene.
I don't know which one was first, but the girl who was teaching the sign language, she's actually studying sign language. Want to become a professional in the field. So that I knew. Maybe that triggered me, I don't know. I told you about this phase, the progression. First stage is hearing. So I don't know which one came first. Anyway, so I casted her, this young woman. So then I decided came up with this. I thank you. You liked it.
What about charisma? Like there's a lot of jokes about this.
In Korea, I think people use that term quite often. Maybe expressing someone has a strong mind. Chi, the strong chi, and has some kind of how can I say, charisma to persuade other people around him or her, and things like that. The people use the term in that way. So she's a novelist, and she's wants to be precise about the term. So you saw what you saw
there. Here.
Hello, I'm sorry. I have so many things I want to ask, but I know I won't have the time for it. To Kim Min-hee, that was the question that I had before, is how it was for you to act in such a manner. Were you tense all the time? Were you nervous? Did you use your own emotions like nervousness to get your way in this project? Because it's such an overt work that I can kind of imagine that the actors may feel a little tense about it. So if you could comment a little bit about that.
제가 질문을 제대로 완벽히 이해했는지 잘 모르겠지만
I don't know if I really got the question.
제가 이제 긴장하는 그것이
Being nervous,
연기를 했냐고
being tense. Do you want to know how did I act that? How did I play that? Or do you want to know whether I was really nervous?
긴장하고 힘들 것 같은데 어떻게 연기했냐 말하면
예, 긴장은 영화 촬영을 할 때 카메라 앞에
Well, of course,
사람들 앞에 선다.
when you're standing in front of a camera, you're always somehow tense and nervous.
해야 될 몫인데 그게
And it's my task to cope with that nervousness and tension. It's not easy,
어떤 순간에
it's difficult.
굉장히 빨리
And there are moments
그게 극복이 안 돼서
where I succeed in coping with that quickly, overcome that quickly. But there are other moments where I have a problem and where I have a feeling it's all going down the drain now.
긴장을 원래 안 하는 성격은 아니고 긴장을 평소에도 좀 많이 하는
As far as my own personality is concerned,
어떤 그 연기할
I usually feel tense somewhat in my day-to-day life, but when I stand in front of the camera, when I act, I'm no longer myself. I rather have a feeling of liberation. This is not always the case, of course. It always depends on the situation you're in. But I usually feel liberated when I act because I am not facing people as myself.
연기할 때 그 카메라 앞에서
In my personal life, when I really face people as the person that I am, I feel more nervous. In front of the camera, I behave more naturally.
Perhaps we'll have one last question here.
My question is, at the end of the film, you play like Prestige, Magie, that you put her in this black room. Was the film already edited? And then you decided to do this, or it came out?
You said black room?
Yeah.
What is
Yeah,
black?
well, yeah.
Cinema.
Yeah.
Ah, you mean theater?
The film.
You mean the fade
kino,
out?
Yeah.
Fade out? You're talking about fade out of a light?
Yeah.
That was the rhythm I liked. These two people exit out, and then she's all alone. I wanted to have a certain the closing rhythm, and I realized this lighting coming out, fading out, and she's suddenly looking this way. That was a nice rhythm, so I decided end there.
Okay, well, thank you very much, the Berlinale. Thrilled to welcome you again, Kim In-hee and Sang-soo.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.